Welcome to episode 2 of Benoy's Breakdown. I'm Jeremy Nygaard. This is Coach Scott Benoy. Coach, how you doing tonight?
I'm well. I appreciate having you back after week one.
Oh yeah, well, it was a good week one.
It was.
So when we talked last week, Monday night, we were on the eve of the season. And Tuesday night, we welcomed in Turtle Lake in a non-conference game. And then Friday night, hosted Amory in the kickoff to the conference slate. Both wins. I didn't get to watch Tuesday's game. I was watching girls basketball. You'll take a win anytime you can get it.
We will, but you maybe picked a good one to miss. No, in all seriousness, one of the things I've learned in the second go around is I think as our program kind of took off back in the mid to later 90s, and we started to have some success, and it was a great time. But I think that as a coach, I didn't celebrate wins the way you need to. And I remember listening once to Bobby Knight, God rest his soul, who talked about the importance of celebrating wins and not making a win just not a loss.
Right.
And so even though we did not play our best on Tuesday against Turtle Lake, the fact that we were able to kind of generate some offense off some defense later in the game and get it in the right column was just a good start, because obviously that's why you keep score.
Right.
So even though it was not a stellar performance on either end of the floor for us, we got some pregame jitters out, or preseason jitters out, I think, and got some guys comfortable in some roles that they're going to play during the course of the year, and then ultimately won, which is the ultimate goal. So
right. So anybody stand out individually from game one?
I was really pleased with Jeremy Jacobson. Jeremy didn't start for us that night, but he's known since day one that he's going to play a major role on our team. Jeremy can shoot the ball. And, the interesting thing about basketball is we can talk X's and O's and offenses and defenses, and a lot of times it boils down to someone making a few shots. And Jeremy was able to produce from the perimeter for us, hit some shots, give us a little bit of breathing room. And then I also thought that Dane and Ryan Vienendahl gave us a real spark in the backcourt, just created some defense, or some offense from defense, and just wreaked some havoc in the back, and just gave us a little boost in the second half that we sorely needed.
Okay, so we walk out of that gym with a win, and back in Friday. Now Amory, I'm pretty sure they went winless last year in the conference.
Yeah, I think that might be true.
They have a good showing against Colfax in their opener, and I think they probably came in confident that they could hang with the Hawks.
Yep.
And in the first half they did.
Yep.
And in the second half, we just kind of pulled away. What were your impressions of the Amory Warriors?
I think you're really right on all counts. Number one, they're much improved. They have arguably the best athlete in this part of our state, in my opinion. When you look at a kid's just ability to run and jump and play north and south, Carter Wallen is a dynamite athlete. They have a freshman, his younger brother, that is going to be very difficult to guard for the next 4 years. And then just a supporting cast that's much improved. And then they went down and won handily against Colfax. So there's no doubt they came into our gym thinking that they were going to compete, and they did. I thought we took a real step forward on Friday. Defensively, we were much better. We played a little bit of gimmick early. We went with triangle and two to start, just to give them a different look, and then switched to primarily man before some 3-2 at the very end. But I thought defensively we just had much more energy. I thought that we took care of the ball much better. We had 25 turnovers against Turtle Lake that were mainly unforced. And so that was really our primary focus leading up into the Amory game. We took care of the ball. I thought our shot selection was better. Just all in all, a much better performance in game two.
And I got to watch that one. I thought Evan, defensively in the first half, he was given the task to guard a kid that is really hard. You can slow him down, but he's going to get his points. He ended up with, I think, 17.
Yeah.
But it was hard to get 17.
Absolutely. I thought that Evan, last year when we went box and won against Momlove and put Evan on Momlove, I thought he did a tremendous job. And his primary goal Friday, he knew defensively, was just to make it very difficult for Carter to get an opportunity. And knowing that he had some help and he could just face guard,
right.
And that takes a ton of physical effort, but you don't have to think too much. You kind of unplug your brain defensively and just go where he goes. And I thought Evan did a great job of that. We chased his younger brother to start, and it really did what we wanted it to do. I know they're accustomed to box and one, diamond and one, but I doubt anybody's chased both of them, although it's early in the season.
Right.
So I thought just that opportunity to give them a different look that they probably hadn't prepared for, And we did. We slowed them down a lot in the first half. And you know that ultimately Carter Wallen's going to score because he's a high volume shooter.
Right.
But I thought that, we limited his good looks. We took care of the ball pretty well. I think he had the one dunk on the break. But I thought Evan did a great job. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I feel like, he went to the line, I think, 17 times and missed 9 of them. And that maybe changes the complexion of a game because that's not a kid that's going to shoot 45% from the free throw line. Evan going from the first half then to the second half. So in the first half, it was like, do your thing defensively, but basically expel the energy that you have, but still be the offensive facilitator. In the second half, he turned into the scorer. I mean, I'm not positive, but he definitely broke 20 points. Was that the first 20-point game he's had?
Might have been. We spent so much time concentrating on his job defensively that, we did. I don't think we talked enough about how well he played offensively. What I was really pleased with on Friday from an offensive standpoint was Evan and James both got downhill more and got to the basket.
Yes.
And, Amory gave us a little bit of problem with switching everything. And, we still haven't had a whole lot of practice time to work against specific defenses. We're still working on conditioning and chemistry and all those things. And so I thought that they did slow us down a little bit with all the switching. But I thought that Evan and James kind of figured out in the second half that you can switch all you want, but I'm bigger than you are.
Right.
And if you get to the basket and you have 3-4 inches on a guy, obviously that bodes well. So I did think that he just was almost a totally different player on Friday than he was on Tuesday. And then in addition to that, we talked a lot last week about, this has to be fun. This has to be joyful.
Right.
And I thought Tuesday we almost played just so tight, like it was a job for us. And Friday night I thought we played with a little more joy, a little more relaxed. And I thought Evan and James offensively gave us a huge boost. Colin didn't score.
Right.
And for us to play and win by double digits without a 40 varsity player scoring, that also bodes well for our team in the future.
Right.
So,
and he just does so many things that don't necessarily show up in a box score that just help a team become a winning team. And that's no surprise to anybody that's watched Kiefer's Corner because that's what Dan talked about, Colin being on the football team. Like, he's not a look at me guy. He's a let's do what we got to do to win guy.
Absolutely. I think back to a conversation I had with Colin. This would have been about maybe week 4 or 5 of the football season. And obviously, Gavin was having a huge year offensively, scoring a lot of touchdowns, and same with Cal, and just all the weapons they had. I remember talking to Colin and just saying, hey, I hope to see in the end zone a little bit more. And he said, I'll do whatever I have to do for our team to win.
Right.
And that's just the kind of kid that makes his football team better, makes his basketball team better. And he's just not healthy yet.
Right.
And he does get full functional use of that right shoulder. I think he's going to be just another weapon that teams are going to have to deal with. And as a 40 varsity player, it should be that way.
Right. So looking ahead to this week, tomorrow night at Somerset.
Yeah. And
Somerset, I believe, probably ranked in the top 5 in the state in this division, has Lesha, who's a freak athlete, has Kane Donnelly, I think, who's dropped 30 multiple times.
Very good player.
Kamen Gebheim's a good player.
Yep.
The senior at Stillwater that was at Somerset is luckily gone. But this is a really, really loaded Somerset team.
Yeah, they're very good. I think that a little bit of a contrast in styles. They're going to want the thing to be a track meet. We're going to see full court pressure, probably 2-2-1 zone pressure. Prescott did a really good job of just slowing the game down, taking care of the ball in the backcourt. Somerset got off to 2 big wins early in the season, scoring a lot of points. A lot of those were layups or dunks off turnovers. So we know that they have a lot of offensive firepower and athletic kids. Our hope is that we just grind it out. And I think if we can get into a grind it out game with them, I think that does favor our kids because of our style of play. They're not particularly gifted from the perimeter. Krybeck can shoot it and get on a roll, but they just want to attack the basket and then want to make you pay on the offensive glass. So looking at us across the board, we're definitely bigger than they are, but we're going to have to match their intensity. They get to play at home.
Right.
And you're right. They're getting a lot of attention, particularly early, even on a statewide level.
Right.
And so I'm sure after losing their conference opener, they're going to be ready to play basketball.
And was that game at Prescott or at Somerset?
Prescott.
It was at Prescott, which is not an easy place to play for anybody.
Absolutely not.
And then we're off for, is it a full week?
Yeah, the rest of the week we are idle. So, and that's actually really good timing in our schedule, I think, for us to have then 3 games under our belt and really start to kind of break our team down in terms of, okay, in 3 games, what have we seen that, is challenging for us, and what are we seeing that we can build on, and then to get, hopefully Cal healthy. Jeremy Jacobson's a kid that, he's gaining more confidence. And so I just look at guys like Jeremy and Ryan and Dane and Cal that are just going to continue to get better. And having this little, 4 or 5 day break between our next contest, I think it couldn't happen at a better time.
And I feel like last year, your rotation to start the season was bigger.
Yeah.
And this year, it's pretty tight to start. You're looking at 8, maybe 9.
I would say more like 7, maybe 8 right now.
Okay.
And
with Cal coming back.
Yeah. So, sorry, go ahead.
And that's not, historically, you've tried to play that amount of guys, right? It's never really been 10, 11, 12.
I would agree. I would say that if you look at my track record here, I think obviously it depends on how many guys are ready to play at that level.
Right.
But I will be honest, and I think you've watched me for a long time, played for me, know that I've never been a proponent of a huge bench. Right. I just think it's difficult to maintain a lot of consistency and cohesion if you're playing too many guys.
Right.
But I also know that in this day and age when halves are longer, you have to be able to spell guys more now than you did 15, 20 years ago. But I just have always kind of adhered to that philosophy that you play guys that are ready to play, not just because they have a uniform on. And I think this year though you'll see that just the opposite. I think you'll see our rotation maybe get bigger as the year goes on instead of getting tighter. But that remains to be seen.
Because you talked about longer halves, but more games too.
Yeah,
it was 20, then it was 22, and now it's 24.
Yeah.
Which just seems like, you have to have guys. 1 game a week now is beyond this week. I can't imagine it's going to happen often.
No,
it's relatively unheard of.
You're absolutely right. I think that when you look at those 3-game weeks, and that's becoming commonplace, that does lend itself to having more bodies.
Right,
no doubt about it.
So you mentioned the mid-90s. That was kind of the beginning.
Yeah, early mid-90s.
And I didn't plan to talk about this, but because it came up, I got an email from Gary Hansen. So Gary he was a year or 2 years older than Sean.
Yeah, correct.
And I want to ask if you remember the play, because I remembered I was probably 6th grade. We're in the old gym, the barn gym.
Yep.
And I don't remember who we were playing. I remember sitting, where I was sitting. And Sean has it on the right side, behind his back. Gary's going up for a left-handed layup that's going to be contested, 360 layup.
I think I do actually recall that.
That was my favorite single play memory of that era.
Yeah. There were, when we got it going, there were so many good kids, and we had a number of really good teams. And when I think back to just plays like that, or Sean having a 360 over his head in Richmond, we just had some really talented kids. And once we got it going, it was so fun to just know that year after year, I know it's kind of cliche-ish that, we just would reload. Mm-hmm. But it felt like for quite a while we just reloaded. Mm-hmm. And that's obviously our goal, is to get our program back to that just, hey, we're going to reload. Right. And I look at our guys this year, and there's just kind of like tonight, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We might play well, we might not, but there just seems to be a little bit of a quiet confidence developing that all those teams back in that era had. And, other than that, I look back at those teams as how much fun it was and before streaming and before it was just, you kind of had to be there and sit there and let it happen. And I hope that people still continue to obviously arrive in person when this isn't available, or when they just can't, access it online. But I do think that our fan base here is still awesome. This is a great place to be a high school coach, I think, in any sport, because things still revolve around school in our community, our communities, I should say. And, I think that having our people just, come and support us and put a good product on the floor just makes winter exciting.
Yeah. And now, as you think back, has there ever been a year, and I'm sure there has, but where we've been really good at either football or basketball, but haven't been good in the other? I feel like when we're good in one, we're good in the other, even if the athletes aren't necessarily.
For the most part, I look at, and when I think about we're talking about this in practice every night with our kids. When you look at about the last 3-4 years here, boys and girls, this high school has been dynamite athletically.
Right.
I cannot believe just how much success we've experienced in all of our seasons with both genders, and it's been strong for quite a while now. And I think last year we won the Middle Border Cup or whatever, but the mythical Middle Border Cup.
Right.
But I look at that as just a testament to how many good athletes we have, how many kids are working hard at multiple things. And obviously we all want to win championships in our sport. There's no doubt about it. And I think one of the biggest changes in basketball that I've seen in the last, couple decades here is it used to be that if you had 5, 7 really good athletes, you could compete in basketball, for conference titles.
Right.
So, Prescott, kind of changed the game. I don't want to build a program of a bunch of basketball specialists, but we're at the point now in basketball where if you don't have some kids that have pretty high level specific basketball skills, you're going to be hard pressed to take it deep into the playoffs,
right,
or even probably win the league, because the game is just so different now. It's so much more based on the ability to shoot it and have good perimeter skills than just unleashing 5 really good athletes.
Right.
And so that's the one thing that we have to try to maintain here is we want kids playing them all. We want kids being, awesome athletes. Just want to make sure that they're finding time to work on their basketball skills,
right,
because highly skilled teams tend to kind of dominate the landscape now.
And I think you mentioned with our school, 2 state appearances for softball.
Yeah.
A state appearance for boys soccer.
Mm-hmm.
The game before state now in boys basketball, volleyball, football.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I missed. I'm sure hockey was in
the state tournament. What, a year ago, 2 years ago? Hockey was there.
Our boys, the girls with the Fusion have been there. I mean, that there's not a lot of wrestling. Team state last year. It's like there hasn't been a lot of sports that haven't had high level success, even if we're not walking by gold balls in the trophy case.
Yep.
And that's cool. I mean, I think back to when I was in school forever ago, and that just wasn't necessarily the case. Obviously, there's more sports now than there were then, but that would almost dilute the talent, right? That hasn't necessarily been the case.
No, that's why I'm just really proud to be here, because, like I said, we all want to win championships. We all want to win the conference. I mean, I think now I look back at conference titles. I think are unique because it's a measure of your whole season.
Right.
But I also know that during the course of any season, guys get hurt. There's attrition based on a number of factors, and there's just, in my opinion, nothing like that tournament run.
Right.
We just experienced it in football. I mean, standing down in Arcadia along the fence, watching our kids play Lodi, those are goosebump kind of nights, and that's always our hope in basketball, that we just continue to get better, build on our team for 4 months, and then all of a sudden March hits and we are the best basketball team we can be.
Right.
Hopefully that's the trend that will continue to occur.
And that's the thing that's unique for basketball. I mean, in football, if you lose week 3 and week 4, your season might be over.
Yep.
And even last year, like Mason can go down, but it's like there's a chance he can come back and be 90% in the end of February, and we can get him work back in. Anything's possible.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes basketball so fun.
I would agree.
Do you like having coached in there for as long as you did? In the South Gym, the barn. Now in the bigger new gyms that you see everywhere. How do you compare the two?
Well, I mean, I think about some of those nights when we really got it going back in the old gym, and they had the stage, and it was just louder. Obviously the ceiling's lower, and
right.
But that gym obviously ran its course. I would love to play a throwback game in there some night. I think that'd be kind of fun. But I just think, even from a facility standpoint, you look at the success that our programs have had, and you look at the facilities that we have, and I just don't think there's a better place to be a Division III athlete. I really don't. I mean, when you look at the fact that we got turf on our football field, turf on our baseball field, we can play softball there if we need to. 2 nice gyms. We have a great setup at our elementary school. Our middle school has a perfect setup.
That's the best setup.
It's dynamite. So when I think about our facilities, as much as I kind of miss the olden days, we're just really lucky to have what we have.
Right, for sure. All right, well, I'm Jeremy Nygaard. This is Coach Scott Benoy. This was Benoy's Breakdown, and we will see you soon. So long.
Thank you.